Welcome back. In tonight's Utah State of Mind, the state is grappling with a significant school psychologist shortage.
National standards recommend that one school psychologist for every 500 students. In Utah, on average, there's one for every 2,300 students.
Our Jim Spiewak looked into the impact of this gap and what it may mean for students. He asked lawmakers why more isn't being done to help right now. Jim?
Well, Mark, some of the school psychologists that we spoke with say that they look at this almost as like a hidden profession. One that we talked with said he really just stumbled into this job, but now they are trying to make more of a concerted effort to let everybody know that this profession exists.
As I looked into it, I thought that's really what I want to do, is work with kids.
Jerry Trelease, the Granite School District psychology coordinator, works closely with students. He and his colleagues are not long-term therapists for students, but rather key players in the initial intervention and access to resources.
We do it because we love it. We want to serve kids. We want to help them access their education.
In every school within the district, at least a part-time psychologist is assigned, seeing students with parent permission.
Our job is to help students access education, and we do what we can provide in that short term.
Trelease notes that the nature of their conversations with students has evolved over the years, with an alarming increase in anxiety.
We don't diagnose those things, but those kinds of symptoms that present themselves, we help students manage them while they're at school.
But this critically important profession has its barriers. A rigorous education path is necessary, and even with these qualifications, a PhD holder cannot easily transition into a school setting without specialized training in school psychology.
They don't have training in special education law and some of the education-specific interventions and things like that that set us apart.
The problem is twofold. Not enough people even know school psychology is a career option, and
not enough universities have training programs or have the capacity to produce large numbers of school psychologists.
The National Association of School Psychologists sets a standard of one psychologist for every 500 students, but here in Utah, there's one psychologist for about every 2,300 students.
That's a pretty big gap.
It is.
And there's help. There's things that we can do.
Representative Steve Elison says over the last 10 years, the legislature has allocated millions in student support positions like psychologists, but adds it's difficult to determine where to allocate dollars.
We probably get 5 requests for every $1 that we have available.
He admits there are workforce challenges to convince more students to graduate in psychology. So I asked if lawmakers could fund more scholarships at both the graduate and undergraduate levels.
There's active discussions going on about that right now, and I think you'll see further efforts to expand those types of incentives to promote those types of careers.
So what would you say to that person that would say, why isn't more being done?
I would refer to them to the dozens of bills and the hundreds of millions that we've promoted, and the government can't do everything for everybody. We need to train citizens to know, what can I do to help my family and friends, because ultimately that's what has to happen.
And so the challenge remains, bringing visibility to a critical profession and funding programs that can train the next generation of school psychologists.
What happens if it's not done right? What happens if we don't get it right?
Students will continue to struggle unless something changes with supports for mental health.
Now, with respect to these programs at the colleges and universities, they must stay accredited. And to do that, there has to be enough funding to keep enough professors to keep that accreditation. That is another debate and discussion that's going on at the legislature. We're live in Salt Lake tonight. Jim Spiewak, KUTV 2 News.